מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אכסר, בן אשר ירביצני על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב ינחן ומקלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי ילך וגצל מוות לא ידע רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד שורדי, דשנת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm. Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me to water in places of repose. He renews my life. He guides me in right paths as befits his name. Though I walk through a valley of deepest darkness, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You spread a table for me in full view of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My drink is abundant. Only goodness and kindness shall pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai for many long years. So we are gathered here this afternoon, sadly, to say goodbye to Norman Odwak of blessed memory, who was known to the Jewish people by his Hebrew name, Natan Ber ben Tzvi Vesirol, Zichrono Livracha, the son of Harry and Celia Odwak of blessed memory, beloved husband of Brenda for some 59 years, the brother of the late Sam Odwak of blessed memory, and also of Faith Stetman and Sophie Thompson, brother-in-law Flory Thompson and Sam Stetman of blessed memory, the father of Lisa Odwak, Susan Kaufman, Harry and Lisa Odwak, the grandfather of Justin and Sarah, Corey, Noah, Zach, and Adam. Norman passed away on Saturday, January 18th, peacefully, surrounded by family, at the age of 80. So today we are saying goodbye to a man who meant so much to so many people, especially to his family. And after meeting with Norman Odwak's family and having the privilege to listen to some of their experiences together, there was one thing that they all agreed. Norman Odwak was a man dedicated to his family. Even though Norman loved coming to synagogue, first to the Rosh Pina, later on to the Shari Zedek, He understood that the most sacred place in Judaism is not the synagogue. It's not even the land of Israel. It is the family home. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs puts it, it's in the home that we are tested, there that we learn the love that is respect, consideration, gentleness, the capacity to listen as well as speak, sensitivity, graciousness, and the willingness to make sacrifices for one another. In other words, home is where we learn the most important lessons of life. And Norman Odwak loved having his family at home as much as possible. In his book, Unlocking the Torah Text, Rabbi Shmuel Goldin questions why the Torah begins Jewish history with the stories of our patriarchs. And he suggests that the era of the patriarchs and matriarchs, and I quote, establishes the importance of the Jewish family and home. That before we could become a nation, we had to become a family. End of quote. Last week, we read the end of the book of Genesis, and we learned about the struggles of our forefathers, culminating in Jacob blessing all of his children, teaching us that our survival as a nation is directly dependent upon the health, strength, and success of the family unit. Norman Odwak treasured and valued this principle, making his family a priority in his life. Norman was born September 5, 1939, and was the fourth of 4 children. He met Brenda. They married June 14th, 1961, creating together a wonderful love story and raising together a beautiful family. And I'm sure Norman was proud over each one of his family members. But, to be fair, I still remember Norman sitting as close to the front of the sanctuary as possible to enjoy every note sung by the golden voice of his superstar grandson, Justin Odwak. Still remember, he used to sit right there. Norman was in awe, in trance, smiling at every tone, at every trill. It was quite a scene to look at his face when he was enjoying his grandson singing. Even during these last high holidays, when he had no energy to come to shul anymore, arrangements were made so he could enjoy Justin singing from the comfort of his bed one more time. And out of all the meaningful traditions we have in Jewish funerals, perhaps the most important one is the eulogy. This has biblical roots, as we see that our father Abraham eulogized Sarah, his wife. The word eulogy means a good word. Giving a eulogy is a way to honor a person's life. It is also a way to provide comfort to those who are heartbroken. The eulogy expresses sorrow for the loss, yet it celebrates and finds meaning in the person's life. When we suffer the loss of a loved one, what is not going to be with us is evident. We go to the cemetery, we bury the body. But what is not evident is what remains with us in our lives. The eulogy is the tool to remind us that not everything gets buried. In fact, the most important part of our existence, our values, our contributions to society, to friends, to family, etc., stay with us. We just need to be reminded through a eulogy. So to begin the process of eulogizing Norman Odwak, I would like to invite Lisa Odwak, then David and Noah Kaufman, and finally Justin Odwak and Sarah Sommer.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to say goodbye to my father, Norman Odwak. I had a very unique relationship with my father. I have been the daughter-wife of the family. We worked together starting when I was 16. We developed a strong bond through working and living together for so long, to the point where if he didn't like what my mom had to say, he would come to me. As many of you know, my dad loved a good fight. He carried that attitude all the way to the end, as exemplified by his resilience and strength in the face of his sickness. He was never sick at all in his life until he turned 65. He defeated his difficult heart surgery and slowly worked his way back to health over the 15 years following. He proved that he truly had 9 lives. Even though he was certainly more of a dog person, he exemplified the persistence and luck of a cat. He didn't care about the odds, however slim they became. He was focused on survival, and survive he did, far longer than anyone expected. My dad was an excellent dresser and was also incredibly generous when he had anything to give. He has given the shirt off his back on many occasions, and he would be proud by how much of his wardrobe is actually being worn today by his grandchildren. He loved his grandchildren dearly and cherished his visits and phone calls with them. He took any opportunity he could to spoil them. My dad loved his yard, filled with flowers and decor, exactly to his liking. He also loved his Gimli house and worked hard to make both places look flawless. His yard will never look the same, but we will continue to take good care of it for him, even though he would be correcting us the whole time if he were still here. I would like to thank my mother for the amazing way that she cared for my dad during his sickness. It was not easy for her, as he could be demanding at times, but she wouldn't have had it any other way. I would like to thank Dr. Coates for 40 years of excellent care and friendship. My dad thought the world of him. A life-size portrait of Dr. Coates would have been the perfect addition to his art collection. With all of the dinners that are being sent to our house over the next few days, I can't believe that I am not cooking one of them. I would like to thank everyone here for the overwhelming show of support to our family. Rest in peace, Dad. I love you.
Thank you all for coming to support our family during this time. My Zadie had a complicated life, but remained a man of simplicity through and through. He loved classical music, his garden, and his family, especially his grandchildren. He spoiled us every opportunity that he got, be it with the toy machine and ice cream and Gimli, salami slices at Norman's Meats, and especially in later years, whatever we could fit into at his favorite clothing stores. His closet was always open to us, and now many of us are outfitted in his ties, coats, sweaters, and jewelry. My favorite memories of my Zadie include him dancing at our bar mitzvahs, him swimming in the ocean in the Caribbean, and of course him sitting in his favorite corner of the couch watching his beloved Jets when they finally came back. I will cherish my last visit with him, which mostly consisted of time on said couch and a couple of simple errand runs to the bank, to the grocery store, and of course to pick out flowers. When he got sick a few years ago, I remember the distress that the whole family went through watching him get so bad so quick. But however bad it looked, he kept fighting. He survived a 13-hour open heart surgery, making him a certifiable superhero. It was his bravery and perseverance through this time that made me reconsider a few very important things in my life and helped me kickstart my own recovery. I don't know where I would be without that experience. I'm a much better man for having had him in my life to learn from. He certainly did not go through all of that for nothing. He just wanted a little longer to spend with his family, and he earned it. Thank you, Zadie, for teaching me the importance of resiliency and doing things your own way. I'll carry you forward as long as I live. You are loved and missed.
For those of you who do not know me, I'm Noah, the fourth grandchild of Brendan Norman, otherwise known as Bubby and Zadie. Growing up and traveling to Winnipeg from my home in Toronto was always something that I'd look forward to. It meant that I got to go stay at Bubby and Zadie's house and visit with my family. It was the first place that I'd ever traveled to on my own, and it was somewhere that made me feel special and made me feel full from all the food in the house. Whether it was going out to eat, taking a trip to the grocery store, staying in to eat, delivering food orders, we always had fun with everything that we did. Although I only got to see Zadie in person 2-3 times a year, I always felt a special bond. He always had interest in my interests, whether it be with school, with friends, or with sports, and always wanted to know what else is doing or how's the weather when we would talk on the phone. As you all know, my Zadie battled his various illnesses for several years and has taught me a lot about courage. He showed me that even when the odds are stacked against you, to just keep fighting. He was a family-oriented man, and his courage and perseverance throughout all of his endeavors showed just how much he valued his time. While I know you're resting and in a better place, I will always miss you, Zadie. I will treasure the memories of seeing you in your family home, and I will always treasure the memories of you famously naming all of your pigeons in Gimli and proceeding to feed them as if they were your friends. Rest in peace, Zadie. I can find solace in knowing that you have your corner seat, unlimited blankets, and an ice-cold glass of silver Coke wherever you are. I love you.
My name is Justin Odwak, and I'm Norman's eldest grandchild. I'm fortunate to have had a very special relationship with my Zaid, growing up in his home for 10 years, along with my mom and my Bubby, and Fred, the dog. Anyone who knew my Zaid knew that he could be stubborn at times, to say the least. When walking into a room, you could immediately tell what kind of mood my Zaid was in, depending on the state of his nostrils. If they were nice and relaxed, it was safe to approach. If they were flared, one must proceed with caution. The root of many of my Zaid's moods seemed to be that he never had enough time spent with his family, whether it be his parents who he lost at a young age, or his children and grandchildren. He really loved his family and was always at his best when surrounded by his loved ones. He may have complained at times that he didn't see his kids or grandkids enough, or that we didn't call or visit frequently enough. No amount of family was ever enough for this man, because he always wanted more. Before anything else, my Zaid was a family man in its purest form. He loved his family before more than anything else in the world, and passed on these values to his children and grandchildren. My Zaid and I shared many common interests. We especially bonded over our shared love of classical music and designer fashion. As many of you know, my Zaid was known for his impeccable taste in clothing, which is something that I inherited from him. I would frequently go shopping in Zaid's closet, and he would always be happy to give me whatever items he could no longer fit into. Lucky for me, we were similar in size. I'm fortunate to have many of these items in my closet that I continue to wear proudly, which remind me of him on a daily basis. Thanks to him, I will never spend a winter season in the cold, as he has well equipped me with well over 24 cashmere sweaters to keep me warm on those frigid Winnipeg winter days. I have fond memories as a young child riding in the back seat of his black Jeep Grand Cherokee on the way to the family cottage in Gimli. He would always pop in one of his favorite CDs to listen to on the way. his favorite being Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto in C minor. Of which he asked me to play, and I'm not good enough as a pianist, so I could never play it. I remember sitting in the back seat, mesmerized by the beautiful sounds I was hearing, like nothing I remember hearing before. Sometimes Zaid would let me pick what to listen to next from his large CD collection that he kept in the trunk of his car. We would pick some CDs together as we would load up the 6-disc CD changer of the car before departing from the store in Charleswood. It was from these early experiences that began to develop my love for classical music. As I got older and I began to take music more seriously, my Zaid was always my biggest supporter. He made sure to attend as many concerts and performances of mine as he could, and if I didn't have a solo, he was not pleased. Later on in my schooling, I decided to take a step back from the performance path and pursue the field of music education. Most Jewish parents and grandparents, when they hear that their children are giving up a performance career in the arts for a career in education, would be relieved and thrilled. What is better than a young Jewish professional? Not my Zayda. When I broke the news to him that I wanted to become a teacher, he was quick to express his disappointment. Zaid was sure I was destined to be performing at the Met. He had even started planning my Met debut party that he was determined to host. He was and always will be the biggest supporter of my music career. Music has brought my Zaid through some recent difficult times. When Zaid was going in for his surgery a couple of years ago, my wife and I were able to give him a short concert in the hospital just before being put under, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Just last month, I was visiting my Zaid in the hospital when he was having a particularly difficult time. During this visit, my Zaid was not in the greatest spirits or health. He was unable to communicate verbally at the time. We don't know why. And I could tell he was struggling. I asked my Zaid if he wanted some music, and he signaled yes. So I proceeded to play some of his favorites from my iPhone, including some Yiddish songs by Jan Pierce. After this session with him, he became a completely different person. His face lit up, and his coloring changed. He no longer struggled to speak for the rest of the day. I'm fortunate to have this gift of music that was able to bring comfort to my Zaid in some of his darkest moments. One of my Zaid's all-time favorites was Avinu Malkeinu. My wife, Sarah, and I would like now to dedicate the song in honor of my Zaid. And there's no guarantees what kind of sounds are going to come out of my mouth. Do you have it? And it's played for us today by Tatiana Smoleninov. Thank you, Tatiana.
Avinu Malkeinu Shema Koleinu Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu lefanecha Avinu Malkeinu
Malkeinu Kalle Dever Vecherev Rav Me'aleinu
Avinu Malkeinu Kalechol Tzar
Mastin Me'aleinu
Avinu Malkeinu
Please rise for the El Malel Rachamim prayer. El Malel Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Hametze Menucha Nechona To'achat Kanfei Hashechina V'ma'alot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezoyer Raki Amazirim Et Nishemat Et Nishemat Na'atam ber ben Tzvi v'Cyril שהלך לעולמו בעבור שאנו מתפללים ויד הצקרת נשמתו בגן עדן בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו לכם ולרחמים אז תדעו וסדר כן אהביו לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים החיים את נשמתו אדוני ונחלתו וינוח ושלום על משכבו ונאמר Amen. God, full of compassion, dwelling on high, grant proper rest in the shelter of your presence, the ranks of the saintly and pure, radiant like the bright heavens, to the soul of Norman Odwak, who has gone to his eternal home. As we pray that his soul be remembered, may he rest in the Garden of Eden. So, compassionate ruler, shelter him beneath your wings forever. Gather his soul in the bond of life. God is his true inheritance. May he rest in peace in his resting place. Let us all say, Amen. You may be seated. In a few minutes, we're going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Sheriff Zedek Cemetery, located in the corner of Armstrong and Main Street. If you are coming with us to the cemetery, remember to turn on your four-way flashers, and please remember to stop at stop signs and red lights. If you are waiting, then immediately after, we are proceed to the Meal of Consolation at 1003 Queenston Bay. If you are not going to the cemetery and you wish to go directly to the Meal of Consolation, you have to calculate that going back and forth is going to take us around an hour and 15 minutes. The Shiva will also be at 1003 Queenston Bay. It's going to be tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. and then Tuesday to Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. Everybody's invited to come to pay their respects and to visit the family. So at this point, we are ready to proceed with the next stage, which is to accompany Norman's coffin to the hearse. So to do that, I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit now and to assume their places alongside Norman's coffin. And I would like now to invite the immediate family to exit the chapel and to proceed directly to their transportation. And for the rest of us, we are going to wait here in the sanctuary for a little longer. And remember, once the doors at the back are going to be opened, that will be our sign to exit the sanctuary. And the tradition is to exit the building to form two lines outside, through which Norman will find his way to the hearse We just have to be patient and to wait here a little longer. And that's our sign. Thank you all for coming.